Hey folks, welcome back to Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. And today we've got a whole new series that we're launching. This is Bugout Battle. We're going to start a whole new video series today. Bugout battles. That's what's coming. There's going to be many bugout battles. Many bugout battles. Where we are going to pit gear versus gear. All the stuff that you might use in a bugout situation. We're going to tie it all together and test them all out. Head to head. Sometimes head to head to head. Sometimes head to 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 head. Who knows? Who knows? But that's what we're going to do. And the series starts right now. So, head-to-head bug-out battles. Some of these stoves would fit in your bug-out bag. A couple of them won't. But for the purposes, you may have one of these at your bug-out location. So, it brings about bug-out battles. We're going to pit the Coleman versus the butane versus the isobutane. Our control is going to be these little tin, super cheap Walmart camp cups, stainless steel. All things being equal, you know, with the Jetboil having its own proprietary pot, that flux ring's kind of cheating, man. So we're going to use one of these cups so that they all have to boil water in the exact same vessel, exact same temperature water, different conditions. Depending where we are, right? You never know where you're going to be when SHTF and you need to boil some water. So this is Bugout battles. So first contender, the tried, the true, the Coleman propane burner. This thing has cooked more meals than your grandmother, believe it. It's a camper's favorite. It's got the big sturdy plastic base that goes on your 1 pound tank. Really simple system. You can run this off a much bigger tank if you need to, if you have an adapter and the attachments to be able to do that. You can also kind of bootleg and refill these things off a larger tank if you have the right adapter. So this thing's pretty handy. It's pretty handy. Let's see how it holds up. One more thing about this guy, you're gonna need a lighter, guys. You're gonna have to have a lighter with this stove. There's no self-ignition on this, just on and off on the burner, so you have to have an ignition source for this sucker. Just one of the things to know about it. Next up, we got the Jetboil. This is a contender right here. These things are incredible at boiling water. Jet power. This is the Minimo. This one's actually adjustable. For testing purposes, we're going to crank this guy all the way up, leave it full throttle. This has its own built-in igniter, so you don't need to bring that lighter with you to get this little isobutane stove going. Last but not least, the butane burner stove. This thing's pretty cool. Small butane tanks. It can last a long time on these butane tanks. The top flips over for storage. You just lock and unlock your butane tank. You're ready to go. It's got its own built-in ignition. So you don't need a lighter for this sucker either. Bugout battles. Today, we are going to pit the titans of the stove community head to head to head. And we're going to throw a couple curveballs in there too with some things that might not cost so much and you might be able to make it home. The weather for today, we're right around the freezing mark and right here on the shore of the beautiful Hudson River. The wind's probably 17 to 20 miles an hour. So it's going to be a challenge, especially for these gas stoves to do their job today. Real world conditions, real world places, bugout battles. This is our special competitor of the day. We'll check this guy out a little bit later. Livingston, man, I didn't tell you about this, but I brought an extra stove. These are stoves that you could find, well, just about anywhere. Any camp store is gonna have one of these little butane burners. This runs solely on butane, not isobutane, not propane, butane. A little different, maybe something you haven't seen before, but we're gonna put it to the test here today. Bug out battles. Now, to make all things fair, these are full canisters for each stove that we're testing today. We have a full 1 pound propane cylinder. We have a full isobutane. I think this is the, what are these, 400 or 230 gram canister for that. And a full, how much is it? 8 ounces of butane. So everything's going into this with optimal gas, okay? None of these are half burnt or anything like that. These are full to the brim. So fair is fair, right? Fair is fair. Oh, we're still missing a competitor from the table here, and we're not quite set up yet. We have another competitor to add to this. The tried, the true, the Coleman burner. Make sure that's turned off. Install. There we go. All right, number 2. Well, we have our 3 gas-powered stoves just about ready to go. Now, I brought a control for each one. Now, I know the Jetboil comes with its proprietary cup, right? This is an unfair advantage to the Jetboil. So we're gonna set this guy by the wayside because everybody has a Jetboil cup, right? You may have a burner like this, but maybe you don't have one of these fancy flux ring cups, right? So to make everything fair, I figured all water would be boiled in the cheapest camp cup I could possibly find. We've got the old Walmart special stainless steel camp cup, right? That's what all the water is going to be boiled in all the stoves in this cup. Same ambient temperature cup. I brought enough of these that we don't have to heat one up and then give another stove an unfair advantage. So we want all things to be equal in this test. Science time. So I'm thinking we're gonna do 2 cups of water if these little cheapo stainless steel guys can hang. We're gonna try and do 2 cups of water in each one. We got our handy dandy Sea to Summit measuring cup here, all the way to the tippy top. Livingston, man, that's our 2 cup mark. Perfect, 2 cups of water right there. Each boil is gonna get 2 cups, ambient temperature water, ambient temperature cup. See how they perform. Stick with us. Bug out battles. Well, we're gonna start with the tried, the true, the Coleman burner. You can find these things almost anywhere. They go by many, many different names from many manufacturers. Essentially, propane burner, right? It's got a nice base on it, nice top on it, catch anything you might spill. Not self-igniting, this model, right, Livingston, man? There's no, you gotta light it with a lighter. Okay, so you're gonna need a lighter to go along with this. These are very, very affordable. They run for a good long time on that 1 pound propane cylinder there. Again, brand new cylinder, very used stove. We got to fire this guy up. We can hear the gas. She's roaring. We're gonna give it a minute. Let it start burning. We're gonna drop our 2 cups of water on there. We're gonna see how long this boil takes. Bug out battles. Right, about 60 seconds. We're gonna set our little cup on there. Start the timer, folks. Let's see what it does. It's windy, it's crummy. I'm not gonna assist it in any way. We're just gonna wait for a good rapid boil on the water, and then we're gonna call time on this Coleman stove. Let's see how it turns out. Highest setting, maximum gas output. Let's see how fast it happens.
Time is 12:50. Time is 12:59.
12:59. 12:59. You're gonna need a lighter for this one. Don't forget, no self-ignition. Really inside me really wants to block the wind from. I just want to stand there with my coat open to help it out, but I can't. I can't do it. Science sucks. Pay for this. It's very, very windy. You're gonna want to get yourself a windscreen. Windscreen. It's a nice piece of metal you can set up around these things. Block some of this wind. I mean, if the cup manages to blow off of the stove, we're going to have to reset and start this all over again. The wind is going to wreak havoc with all of our stoves across the board. Again, this thing sits up on a big 1-pound propane cylinder. Very tall, very, very tall. I mean, we're talking tall. Supposedly remarkably efficient. I'm sure if all of that flame was getting to the bottom of that cup, we'd probably have boiling water by now. But real world conditions, 15 to 20 mile an hour breeze. It's straight windy. Let's let it go, man. Let's see. Full canister of propane. Who knows? We still ain't there yet, folks. We still ain't there. Hope it don't blow the flame out. That's my biggest concern now, is that the wind blows the flame out on this sucker. So I am going to chalk the height on this burner up to a disadvantage right now, especially here in the wind. I feel like that water should be pretty close to a rapid boil by now. We have to be, how many minutes in are we, Livingston man?
5 minutes.
5 minutes in. Still no boil yet. Still no boil. Again, the wind is a huge factor in this right now. And again, I'm going to chalk that up to a disadvantage to this stove. The height of it, if you were going to get a windscreen for it, it'd have to be like really, really tall. It's big, it's bulky, it's something you're going to have to carry around if you want this thing to be super efficient. The wind is nuts. I'm glad it hasn't blown the flame out, but I feel like that's a real threat to this stove right now. I'm going to chalk that up to a disadvantage. There be no shelter here. Still nothing. We're waiting. It's just not happening yet. I really want to see this thing boil this water. But I don't know, man. The breeze is so steady out of the north. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be able to. It's got to at some point. That cup's got to get hot enough that it's just going to boil. But again, ambient temperature water, ambient temperature cups, and the wind. It's proven to be a hard sell for this Coleman burner right now. Optimal conditions, minute or two, the sucker's boiling. This is the extended version, folks. Conditions are less than ideal. Are you going to have ideal conditions wherever you go, whatever you do? Not a chance. So, the folks who test these in their garage, shame on you. Take it outside. Struggle like the rest of us. How far, Livingston man? How far in are we?
Looking for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I think I see a bubble, but no boil. Rapid boil is the goal here, folks. Rapid boil. Now we're not going to let it go for 20 minutes to sterilize the water, but we are looking for a rapid boil. I've done nothing to assist this stove. I haven't stood and blocked the wind or anything. I've been staying off the windward side of this stove the whole time we've been recording. It's still lit. It's struggling to stay lit. It's definitely some wind. I can't even see the flame, Livingston, man. Sunglasses, no sunglasses, it's hot, but I can't see any flame. And I think that's going to be the case with a lot of these burner stoves with the wind. I think it's really going to extend that boil time for us today. But like to the point of, if you don't have a wind screen, it might not even be worth wasting all of that gas, especially if you're hard pressed for gas, because that's one big drawback to these stoves is the gas. You have to have the gas for them to work. Now, this propane stove, you can buy the refill nozzle for these little 1 pound tanks. So if you have a larger tank, you can totally refill these suckers. But again, that's all dependent upon you having more propane gas. So I would say that that's another drawback to them. SHTF, how long are these going to last? Only as long as your supply of propane. Food for thought. It's been 12 minutes. Nothing. I mean, sure, it's warm. I don't see any steam. I don't see any real boiling water. If we don't hit this by the 15-minute mark, I'm gonna have to say that this is a fail on the Coleman burner stove. 15 minutes to boil water on a propane-fired stove, it's not a very efficient. I mean, this thing's on like cranked all the way up to, it does not go any higher. I'm giving it all it's got, Captain. It's just not enough power. So, 3 more minutes. Good luck, little Coleman stove. I wish you well. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. 15 minutes. You can hear how windy it is. It's crazy windy. It's not gonna boil water, guys. Now, if I was in a bug out situation, I would not be doing this standing here in the wind like this, obviously. I'd be protecting it much, much better. I wouldn't be standing out here in the wind first and foremost. But this ain't gonna work. Got to do something different. So we're gonna call this a fail on the Coleman burner here. I'm gonna shut her down. Livingston, man, I want to see how. Oh no, it's terrible. It's lukewarm at best. Lukewarm at best. That's not even bath water, man. It didn't even get really warm. Fail. Another 2 cups. Time for another stove. This is the Jetboil Mini Mo. This is my latest and greatest and almost favorite piece of gear. I love this little thing. Now, I've never used the pot stand for it before. I've almost exclusively using the Jetboil cup that comes with it. It works incredibly well. I know how fast that sucker can boil water in the Jetboil cup. Let's see how she does with the old stainless steel camp cup. The pot stand will make it sit. Right, it's not very sturdy on there, I gotta be honest with you guys. Now I gotta turn it on and ignite it without losing all my stuff. This does have built-in ignition. So you don't need a lighter to light this stove. So we're gonna crank up our gas here. And oh, hang on, something's going on, Livingston, man. Perhaps I'm not screwed in all the way. There we go. And she's going. Time, Livingston, man, time. Actually, I think what we did was we gave the other one a minute to burn.
118.
118. Soup's on, folks. 118. Let's see what the jet boil does. Max.
13, 18
Max gas. Come on, jet boil. Don't let me down like the Coleman did. Daddy needs some hot food. Yeah, much lower profile here on the jet boil. Not up as high, not going to catch as much wind. We got this very small wind block here. This is one of those riverside grills that they have in New Yorkistan. You know, come bring your charcoal, grill where somebody else has been grilling. None for me, thanks. I'm driving. But a great little spot for us to set these things up. Very controlled. One was very tall, the Coleman burner. We saw what happened with that. This guy's, I would say this is medium height. I did not put the stabilizer on the bottom because I felt that the can set better on this metal grate. So in all reality, if you had your stabilizer on the bottom of your can, you may be up about an inch higher. It's cold, like really cold. Now there's definitely some differences in the design of these things. This Coleman burner, there's a big center spot, but all the flame comes out the sides. In these jet boils, that flame comes straight up out of the center of the bottom. So we got some bubbles in the water here already, Livingston, man. We're not rapid boil yet, but this one gonna work. It has begun. Jet boil, baby. Love this thing. This one's gonna do it. How far in are we, Livingston, man?
122. We're on 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes, almost there. This is like 4-minute boil. We already got small bubbles coming up on the bottom of the pot. I'm gonna say about 4.5 minutes to a rapid boil and ready to go. Is it because the jet boil was lower profile and slightly more out of the wind? We're not blocking any of that north wind again. But is it because it's lower profile? I mean, it's still getting blasted with the wind here, but is it the lower profile or is it the isobutane? You tell me in the comments. A little bit of steam, not quite there yet, but I still think we're gonna hit that boil in less than 5 minutes. Even if it's 6, it certainly wasn't 15 minutes in lukewarm water, right? Rolling boil, rolling boil, rolling boil, rolling boil. That's what we need. That's the ticket, that rolling boil. Then we're gonna call time on this thing, see how we did. How long did it take? 10 minutes? That's rolling boil, Livingston, man.
9.5 minutes.
9.5 minutes. Rolling boil with the jet boil in the wind. You see it, it's happening. And now it's not consistent, which is when the wind hits, cools it down just enough that it stops. And then all of a sudden it kicks back up to a rolling boil. Ideal? No. Do I have hot enough water to make a freeze-dried meal or something like that? You betcha. See, it stopped. It was rolling boil. And then it just stopped. 9.5 minutes, right? 9.5 minutes. 9.5 minutes. This is boiling water. You ain't putting your fingers in there. That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm not even gonna attempt it. Sorry. Sorry guys, sorry. 9.5 minutes. The jet boil with the stainless steel cup. Much longer than anticipated. Got to be honest with you. I am used to the jet boil boiling water like this in about 90 seconds. So that whole 9.5 minutes, it's got to be the wind, right? All right, we have another competitor. It's time to bring you guys to the wonderful world of butane burners. Another 2 cups of nice cold water in an ambient temperature stainless steel cup on the butane burner. This little sucker, you guys at home, if you've ever cooked on a gas stove, you're going to be very familiar with the operation of this thing. It's so simple. Just turn the knob all the way, click it on until the burner comes on, back it off to your desired heat setting. In this case, we're doing like all the others, all the way out, full bore. Let's go. All the way up. Start the timer, Livingston man. So now this butane burner, very low profile. Sits very low in our little spot that we have here in this grill. Extremely low. The wind is still messing with it, but not quite as bad as the last 2. Again, this runs solely on butane. If SHTF and I can't make my own butane, this thing is going to be useless to me. So for the time being, camping, backpacking, things like that, it's a little big for backpacking, but I mean, you could if you had to. Camping, these things are great. Little butane cartridges last a long time. Butane heats very well. Let's see how it does. Real world conditions, bug out battles. So again, these little butane stoves go by many names. You can find them almost anywhere online. Small butane canisters look like a hairspray thing with a little notch in them. Butane only, but you can find them almost anywhere. Amazon, Walmart, so many names it's not even funny. Check them out, little butane stoves. Lit, but it don't like it. So much like the Coleman stove, this butane burner exits from the sides of the burner, not the center like the jet boil. So advantage, disadvantage, I don't know. Let's see. Nope, still going. Did not blow out. Did not blow. Sounded like it blew out, but it did not. It's still going. Yeah, it's plenty hot. Still going.
8 minutes in.
How we looking? She's getting warm. Oh man, the wind really wants to turn these things off. It's not kind to these burners, man. And they are struggling in the wind today. Well, it's looking like this one's gonna get the job done too, Livingston man. But we did have one failure today. You know, the wind, you're battling it, you know. It's windscreens are almost a must in conditions like this. You gotta have something to protect your fire, you know, especially if you're looking to purify water. You really want this thing at a super rapid boil for an extended period of time. With wind like this, you're not going to get it, so something to consider, folks. Next to me. It's freaking freezing out here with the wind chill. Wow. So, to be honest with you guys, this has proven a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought we'd be down here for like 20 minutes and done. We had 20 minutes into like just the setup and burning of the very first stove. When the conditions suck, you better have great gear, guys. Great gear. Oh man, it's brutal. Nose is running. Woo! Chilly willy, chilly willy. With the wind chill down here, it's got to be like, I don't know, 10 degrees. 10 degrees, if that. It's freezing, freezing. And you're trying to boil water because you got to eat, right? Maybe you need to purify some of this Hudson River water. Did it go out? No? No, it did not go out. But it is having a tough time. That water is warm, but it certainly isn't boiling. I mean, it's all the way up. Doesn't go any higher, Captain. I've given her all the power I can. Shouldn't have any more. Is it gonna do it? We might have another failure. We may have another failure, Livingston, man. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna make it. This is terrible. I really thought this was gonna be like bing bang boom, all done, man. Not a chance. Not a chance. The struggle is real, folks.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I turned it off. I mean, that's super hot bath water. No boil. I can put my fingers in it. I can't keep them in there, but I can put them in the water. It's like too hot bath water. Fail. There wasn't even any steam off of that one. Golly. Now it's time for that little black bag that I showed you guys earlier. I told you we would talk about. So we've compared 3 different gas stoves to one another. Only one of them was actually able to boil water in the conditions today. So I want to try something a little different. Let's try a twig stove, shall we? So this is a custom made Old Mutt Customs special. Does this camp cup look a little familiar? But it's got a bunch of freaking holes in it. It's because it's been turned into a miniature wood stove. It's not something, well, you can buy the camp cup in the store, but you have to make it yourself. Shout out to Old Mutt for tinkering with this gear. Custom made crosshatch for this bad boy. See that? And then our little pot right on top there. Let's see how long it takes this little sucker to boil water in these conditions. And 2 cups of this freaking cold water, man. This cup is frozen. The water is cold. I'm surprised it doesn't have freaking ice chunks in it. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say that the hardest part of this thing is gonna be lighting it. Y'all know I'm a Mickwick man, like to the heart, but I can't get a Mickwick in there as much as I want to. I can't. I got a little bit of fat wood. So I'm gonna try and get my fat wood going with my lighter here. And if I can. It's awful windy. See, it keeps going out. Battle in the elements, folks. Come on. All right, I'm gonna have to do it. Wow. Hope you guys didn't have like 6 matches on you, because you'd be in trouble right now. This is the trickiest part of this whole thing, is getting this sucker to light. Now, we've given all the other stoves full containers of fuel, and I thought I would sell this little twig stove short if I didn't bring dry kindling with me. These are twigs and sticks and stuff that I've had stored at home for making fires in the wood stove. So in you know, clarity, these are all good dry sticks. It's not stuff that I picked up here off the shore that's wet. This is good hardwood. Woo! This thing is a bear to get going, Livingston, man. These conditions are horrible. Can't even light the lighter. I'm switching to matches. Switching to matches. All right. Just gonna keep lighting and chucking. This thing needs some gasoline. Come on, little buddy. You can do it. Oh no. Oh, it's going a little bit. Hope for the best. If this guy don't get going off of this, we're gonna chalk this up to a twig stove failure. $58. This thing is screaming, Livingston, man, screaming. We gotta get more fuel for it. So get it going. The important thing to do with twig stoves is keep them loaded. This thing is really roaring. The wind is actually benefiting the twig stove now that it's actually going. It did take us about 15 minutes to actually get this thing lit, so keep that in mind. Obviously not as easy as the jet boil, but hey, I can find fuel for this thing anywhere. Can you say that about your jet boil, Coleman stove, or butane stove? I don't think so. It's the name of the game with it, right? Just keep it fed, keep the fire fed, keep it hot. Finally got it lit. What a struggle that was. Happy it's going. How long is it gonna take? I don't know. I don't know. The wind is actually assisting us here, blowing through this fire. Every once in a while, this thing gets roaring. So as to where the wind was taking away from our fire with the butane, the propane, and the isobutane stove, it's actually aiding our fire with this twig stove. Now, don't get me wrong, the signature off of this is pretty substantial. It's smoky, it's gross, is what it is, but I do get to keep my hands warm around this cup because I am freaking freezing out here. It is cold, it is windy. It's working though, it's working. It's working good. I've been doing nothing but feeding this thing since I got it going. Constantly shoving small sticks and old pieces of hardwood off of the, you know, the stuff that we split back at home for the wood stove. That water is getting awful hot. Livingston, man, what's our time check currently?
8 minutes.
We are 8 minutes in. This is gonna boil water. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Now, that's not the typical cup that I use with this, but to make everything fair across the board, we wanted to use the same cup for each test. So this was actually the cup that we used initially in that Coleman burner test. It had enough time to cool down, be back to the frigid temperatures that we're dealing with right now. But this thing's close, man. We got some bubbles, not quite a boil, but we got some bubbles, and I still got time on my side. 15 minutes was our limit. If it couldn't do it in 15 minutes, it's a fail. So I'm gonna keep jamming my hardwood in here because I don't want to see my twig stove fail. Oh, Livingston, man, it's almost there. It's almost there. So close, come on. You can do it, little fella. You know you want to boil. Keep talking them along, all of them. I coached them the whole way. Couldn't make them boil. Best I could do is cheer them on. This one, I just keep packing the little tiny twigs in there. This is way too big. This is huge. This is like a pencil. We got bubbles, Livingston, man. We got the bubbles. We got the bubbles. It's almost rolling boil time, baby. Let's go.
You got 45 seconds.
45 seconds. It's not going to make it, bro. It's so close, but it's not going to make it. Oh, really? 45 seconds? Come on. Rocket stove. "45 seconds. They're not gonna do it, Livingston, man. Not gonna make it. It's so close. It's bubbling. Come on, little
10,
fella.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's so close. I mean, that's really close, man. Like really close. Like it's there. Like if I had like 17 minutes, bro. Couldn't do it in 15 minutes. Couldn't do it. Fail. Fail. Now I can't exactly turn this sucker off like I did to all the other ones. I'm gonna have to go dunk my cup in the river. Boom. But yeah, that was close. Very close. Very steamy. Very warm. Not putting my fingers in there. That was almost boiling. You see, little twig stove, all contained. Right here, a little fire in my cup. Yeah, twig stove. It performed just about as well as the isobutane burner, this little cup. That was hot water. Train's coming again. Performed pretty good. Not perfect. Not fast enough to get it done for us. 15 minutes was the cutoff. Didn't do it. Well, that's it for our field work for today. Well, the real world results are in, and the stoves have spoken. You guys got to let me know in the comment section below who won Stove Wars 2024. Was it the isobutane? Was it the butane? Was it the propane? Maybe our mystery contender? I don't know, but you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments section. This is Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, and this has been Bugout Battles.